Let's go live now to Qusra, where we have Nour Odeh standing by for us. Nour, it seems that some aid from the UN has been delivered to these families now. What can you tell us?
That's right. I spoke to our sources within the UN, and they confirmed that a convoy was able to access the family. Let me move out of the frame and allow our colleague Osama to show you what we can see, which is that the Israeli soldiers have set up a tent in front of the home. And according to the families trapped inside, 5 soldiers exchange every hour or so a position, and they sit there apparently to keep guard. But what is happening is that any access to those families, any attempt to bring them aid, has to go through the Israeli soldiers. So they are, in effect, as they told me, under siege by the settlers and the soldiers themselves. The UN mission was able to bring them flashlights, fresh water, food as well, food for the children, and a dignity kit. But a water tanker that attempted to enter the road and get water for the family to fill up their water tanks was denied access and turned back, and the settlers kind of cut off the road if they see any Palestinian movement on that road. And so the situation continues to be as is, really frozen in time. The families trapped, staying there. No attacks or assaults by the Israeli settlers per se, but that siege continues.
So these settler tactics of laying siege, what does Israeli law say about it, and how does that comply with international law? And is there any kind of law enforcement, like police or the military, that's actually supposed to be preventing these things from happening?
Well, let's start with this. The illegal Israeli settlements and settler outposts are established, funded, protected by the Israeli state. And some of these larger settlements are considered municipalities, cities even, by Israel, which of course contravenes international law in a number of ways, as the experts always remind us. On the one hand, it is illegal for Israel to transfer its civilians to the occupied Palestinian territory. These settlers must not be anywhere in the occupied West Bank. It is illegal for Israel to change the character of the land in the occupied West Bank because it is an occupying power. It has no claim to the land. Its occupation, in fact, has been deemed illegal. Now, as far as law enforcement is concerned, the Israeli army has no mandate to act as law enforcement against Israeli civilians. And the Israeli settlers have their own security apparatuses that are supported by the Israeli security establishment, but they do not answer to the army. They don't answer to the commanders. And that vacuum, if you will, that legal vacuum that has to do with the fact that these settlers shouldn't be there, but they're there. But it would be even more controversial if Israel formally announces the annexation of the occupied West Bank and to implement civilian law. All of these complications, the only thing that they do is they serve the interest of Israeli settlers and of these organized campaigns against Palestinians, not just in Qusra, but across the occupied West Bank. We passed through Atara, for example, on the way from Ramallah to here. Overnight, an Israeli settler was stopping cars at the military checkpoint that is at the gate of that town. The soldiers did nothing to him, but he was able to harass an untold number of cars. Elsewhere in Tamun, for example, Israeli settlers ruined the water networks, feeding that town with water. Nobody was held to account, and the Palestinians cannot fend off these attacks because if they do, the Israeli army will detain the Palestinians and leave the settlers be or ask them to move on to the outposts. So that is the legal vacuum, if you will, and how it's exploited, how it serves the purpose of land grab, of increasing those settlement outposts with the funding and support, again, of this government that has a number of settlers in the cabinet.
That's Al Jazeera's Nour Odeh reporting live from Qusra in the occupied West Bank, where that siege is still continuing. Thank you so much, Nour.